Hello, I am Chylli from channel Chylli, also known as Chai, and we are back for more depersonalization. It's been a few days since I've played, so I had to refresh myself, but I think we are about ready to get in here. The footprints on the second floor of the clinic are very heavy, almost sinking into the entire wooden floor. The footprints are large, seeming to belong to a large man. Last night there shouldn't have been these footprints. The footprints are heavier in the front and lighter in the back. It seems the owner was going down the stairs. You opened the curtain of the second floor window when the sunlight came in. You took the opportunity to check the window. The inner windowsill has no dust. There are no security bars. The height of the second window is not very great, and the window is not locked. If he entered through here, it makes sense. The paramedic was next to your bedside table, holding a bottle and spraying the environment. Any discoveries? The blood is very scattered. It seems the fight between the deceased and you was very intense last night. Also, on the bed blanket, there's a stab mark, and on the inside, blood stains. The scalpel, as the murder weapon, has already been collected as evidence. At least this part doesn't differ much from last night's memory. Perhaps the struggle with the attacker last night hit the desk, and the books and manuscripts piled on the table fell, looking a bit messy. Some of the desk drawers were slightly open, revealing files and medical records, but overall there was nothing interesting. Doctor, what was the situation when you arrived this morning? It was a bit messier than it is now. Outside the door, I could already smell a strong scent of blood. When I entered, the first thing I saw was you lying next to the body. After confirming you were still breathing, I barely touched the scene, just moving you to the sofa and did a simple dressing. Did you check if anything was stolen? If anything was stolen? Violet looked around and then shook her head. I don't think so. There's nothing of value in this clinic, maybe just some personal manuscripts. But I doubt any thief would be interested in manuscripts. Chris, has the victim's identity been investigated yet? This time, yes. The officer on duty compared the victim's information and found it's a city resident who disappeared a year ago, named Howell. A resident? Yes, before disappearing, Howell's job was to be the lighthouse keeper on the coast, but one day after work, he just vanished. The police file mentions that the victim had no habits of alcoholism, drug use, etc. Had a healthy life, and there was nothing abnormal at his workplace. So the case was closed as an accidental fall into the sea. No one expected him to show up here today. I should know this person. Otherwise, why would he come to stab me in the middle of the night? Chris shook his head. You never mentioned knowing any lighthouse keeper to me, but I can't think of anything. So I don't rule out the possibility of you knowing each other privately. And to make matters worse, I've lost my memory. You pulled back the white sheet, and underneath was a face you had never seen before. It was the face of a man with sunken cheeks, looking very thin, but his body didn't match the face, looking very strong. And on the body's neck was an obvious wound, exactly the wound you made with the scalpel the night before. But he was definitely not Sekhmet. It seems last night it really was a hallucination. You examined the body's clothes. They were simple, basic, even very worn, but there was no evidence to confirm your suspicion, except that the deceased had a vague smell of a homeless person. He has a homeless air, and since it was dark last night, it's not surprising that I mistook him for Sekhmet. That's strange. I feel like something is not right. You look at the lock on the clank door. There is no signs of forced entry. The situation at the scene should be this. Violet won't let me use the pocket watch, so I'll report the situation to Triss. Delegate, the scene has been basically investigated. And any clues? You shook your head. Overall, no. The case seems easy to solve. The front door lock is intact, which means the attacker didn't break in. And on the second floor of the clinic, there are obvious footprints and signs of activity. The attacker climbed the clinic from the outside, entered through the second floor window, came down to the first floor, and stabbed me. During the resistance, I stuck the scalpel in the attacker's throat. He died, and I passed out from blood loss. Chris nodded, seeming to know there would be a twist in what you would say next. But I shouldn't have any connection with this man named Howell. Why would he enter the clinic to kill me? If it was for money and I was awake at the moment, he would have tried to kill me to silence me, but there's no sign of anything being stolen. I find it very strange. I feel like there's a thread pulling me. Lately, almost all the cases revolve around me. And besides, no, forget it. In the end, the case was only classified as a home invasion robbery that resulted in death by self-defense. You were silent for a moment and ended up agreeing with Triss's conclusion. Okay, the police will temporarily cordon off the clinic. Detectives and Dr. Violet, this case involves both of you, so today I'm giving you a special day off. A day off? What a rarity, Delegate. Right, enough joking. Let's see, doesn't seem there's anything else we can do in here for now. It's great that the police gave a day off. Where does the doctor plan to go to relax? Me? Violet was next to the car door and upon hearing your question, thought for a few seconds. It's been a long time since I thought about that. Let me see. Could it be that, from being dragged around by the police and the hospital so much, you've forgotten what a day off is? Let me think. Maybe I'll take a walk on the beach. I remember that on the city's coast there's a trail. The scenery is very beautiful, and the weather now is not too cold. Does the detective want to come along? Maybe it will help with his symptoms. The coastal trail, if I don't have any other commitments. Violet narrowed her eyes, made an okay sign, got in the car, and drove south of the city. Hello? Hello, it's me. We found a place that might have some connection with the metal wire you gave me. Go ahead. The place needs to be isolated with few people and related to metal. I asked some friends to check, and it seems there's a factory that's been closed for a long time on the outskirts of the west of the city. I think it was a metallurgy factory. I also heard that the homeless people in the area don't enter the factory because a little while ago some people went in and disappeared, and inside there's a smell of mold. I'm not sure if it's related to the case, but I decided to tell you. Right, I understand. Alrighty, doesn't seem like there's anything we can do in here for now. Is it possible to access the security cameras of the file room from the last few days? I'm sorry, Detective, the file room camera has been broken these days. It only recorded a black screen. It was only fixed yesterday. Even so, show me. Right, that's it. Right, thanks for the help, technician. Excuse me, what was the problem? No problem, just a short circuit in the camera's front view sensor. It's as if it were soaked in water, but it's viscous. Do you guys allow water in places that store paper documents? Water? I don't know about that. I'll have to talk to the delegate about reinforcing the training for personnel entering the file room. Is that me? Why don't I have any impression of it? You looked at the date. The oldest recording was from over a year old. That must be all the documents, right? Yes, including the review reports. Everything has been sorted out for you. Your file now officially belongs to the police station. Chris patted your shoulder and placed the file in one of the cabinets, exactly the one you were looking for before. Right, now, am I your subordinate? Should I say something like, understood, sir? Stop joking. You don't need to change your way of talking. Nonsense. At the police station. First, go get the evidence files from the storage and bring them to my office. I need to start drafting the documents. Understood, sir. Just go. No, no memory. That's as if this body and this memory don't belong to me. What did the doctor come to get in the file room? I remember, she came to get the evidence and files related to Sekhmet. There's an entry and exit record for those documents. I remember she returned it the next day, but the camera was broken that day, so it didn't record. Everything's normal. And then it all went black. It was only fixed yesterday. According to our station, in the early morning today, a tourist found the body of a middle-aged woman in the water near the coast. The police are already investigating. According to the preliminary police investigation, the deceased was a city resident and the cause of death was drowning. A suicide note was found in the pocket of the body's coat, and the possibility of homicide has been initially ruled out. A witness at the scene stated they had seen the deceased at the hospital, where she frequently protested against the hospital, which raised the suspicion that the incident is related to a medical error. Finally, our station reminds city residents that the weather is getting warmer, but please do not enter turbulent waters to swim and take care of your safety. Violet is so suspicious. I don't trust her at all, I'm gonna be honest here. Hang on, let's save really quickly. I feel like going to the coast is going to end this chapter, so we're going to go to the abandoned factory for now. One man's trash is another man's treasure. In these piles of metal, there are still things you can use. The rusty iron gate is severely deformed. You look inside through the twisted part of the gate and saw only piles of industrial waste. There shouldn't be anything inside. Maybe I can find a ladder or something. Before you, a heavy iron gate which seems to be locked. You tried to push the gate and the rust flakes on the edge trembled slightly, but the gate didn't open. Maybe I can try another method. You try to stick the lockpick into the lock, but soon the sound of iron fillings from inside reach your ears. Clearly, the internal rust had already destroyed the lock, which hindered your progress. Picking the lock shouldn't work, the lock is too damaged. You kick the iron gate hard and a huge sound echoed through the factory. Gradually, the gate, already rusty, couldn't bear the weight and began to bend. It seemed that with a little more force, it could be broken down. But for some reason, it gradually started to rain on your head. How can it rain indoors? You looked up and saw that the metal ceiling was covered with black worms, and more worms were moving toward the sound of the source of the sound, falling from the ceiling like rain. The rain that fell on you before was, in fact, the liquid coming out of the worms' mouths. Piles of worms fell from the ceiling, writhed on the floor for a few moments, and then turned into black water seeping into the floor. It seems no one can stop you from kicking this door. Kicking the door was effective. It's completely open. Oh right, I forgot I completely heal after every single battle. Upon entering the factory, the strong, dry smell of blood invaded your nostrils. You had the vague feeling that something was moving in the abandoned factory. But the feeling was different from those of the worms. It didn't seem to want to suck your blood, just watch you in silence. It seems someone deliberately collected some objects. Maybe a homeless person or someone of the sort took shelter here. But now these objects are covered in cobwebs and dust. It seems the owner of the objects has no intention of returning. The floor was covered in dried blood, mixed with dirt and disordered footprints. As you approach, the strong smell of sulfur and putrescine from the blood and decomposition went straight to your brain. You suppressed the smell of rot and approached the operating table. On it, there were still pieces of meat and a piece of intestine. Must be here. I got it right on the first try. The criminal dissected the body here, emptied the internal organs, and at the same time cut the corners of the mouth to keep it smiling. The place has been abandoned for a long time. No one comes, and you don't have to worry about the body's smell being discovered. It's the perfect place for treating bodies. And then he throws the treated body whenever he wants. I can take this information to the police. Before leaving, you look at the scattered pieces of meat on the operating table. These pieces were cut with a sharp and precise instrument, and almost all cuts were made in the crevices of the connective tissue between the muscles, like an art. Clearly, this scalpel was used by the person who performed the precise slaughter here. This should be an important clue. Double checking that I'm not missing anything, and we should be good now. We will need to return there when we have a ladder later on. You took the crime scene photos from your cell phone and placed them on the table. Then you placed the pieces of meat and the leather from the evidence bags one by one in front of the officer. As the evidence was piled up, you saw the on-duty officer's face become more and more serious. "Detective, what is this?" I found the first crime scene. Yes, it should be related to the case of the body dumped in the hospital's back wall. These are photos and the samples from the scene. You examine them and then I'll tell you the address of the crime scene. Detective, did you go alone? It's very dangerous. The criminal might very well return to the crime scene. Hey Wood, come help collect the evidence first and then I'll report to the delegate. I'm coming. This is Tress. Hello, delegate. The detective reported a clue that may be related to the case. Very likely the first crime scene. What, the detective? Didn't he just take a day off? Delegate, I'm listening. Okay, I understand. I'm on my way. Wood, take some men and secure the factory first. If there are people nearby, move them away. Follow the standard procedure. Lynn, you stay on duty here. Call Vio. Call old Thor to the scene. If there's anything else, call me. Understood. Understood, sir. Detective, this time you helped a lot. It was my pleasure to help. Even though the blood has already dried, there's still a strong metallic smell inside. This case finally has some clues. It had to be the detective. Detective, you've arrived. The door has already been completely opened by a professional police officer. But excuse me, how did you manage to leave a metal door in that state? We detected some footprints on the door. Kicking? I think I studied materials in vain. Never mind, feel free. Why was our police officer, Mr. Wood, also dragged to smell blood? You can consider it my great failure in killing time. Lately I've been caught slacking off too often. I was dragged by old Triss for extra training. Delegate, what's the situation? Detective, this time you were the hero. I owe you another one. Another one? A pity you lost your memory and don't remember. You also helped me a lot before. It doesn't matter anyway. I owe you this one. The case that plagued the police for months finally has some clues. You could clearly feel a tone of joy and relief in Triss's voice, as if a nerve that had been tense for months finally relaxed. The relief of solving a problem. Did the police get any clues from these pieces of meat? The officers and the doctor briefly examined the scene, made an approximate profile for the suspect, and 3 sets of footprints were detected at the scene. One of them must be yours, detective, so the criminal is likely a team with 2 or more people. There are many clues here. The suspect probably thought it was safe here, that no one would come, so they barely cleaned the scene. Tracking the suspect should just be a matter of time. Let me see, old Thor should be arriving. What's wrong? Is our always punctual Dr. Thor today 12 minutes and 8 seconds late? Old Thor didn't seem to want to respond to Triss's provocation, his eyebrows almost knitting together. I had some problems to solve at the hospital. Bad mood? Really bad mood. I didn't finish my work and was still dragged by you to smell a corpse. No one would be happy. Why didn't you call Violet? She's on administrative leave. What good thing is that? Did she operate on a patient and cause a major bleed? Enough, Rozov. Stop with these lame jokes. I'll help you sort things out at the hospital. After we're done here, I'll buy you dinner as an apology. Rozov shrugged, although still with an expression of dissatisfaction. He put on medical gloves and went to the operating table. Any clues? Old Thor turned over the pieces of meat and compared the cut marks. No clues. The pieces of meat are all shattered. From the way the bones were separated, there must be more than one person. The internal organs are very damaged, and there are no external features to identify the victim. And judging only by the cuts, the marks are not clean, and the dismemberment method is very rudimentary. Also, there are already obvious signs of decomposition and maggot marks. It's very, very difficult to identify the killer directly. The only thing that can be confirmed is that these pieces of meat have been drying here for more than a week. Maybe you can start investigating the neighborhood residents. Rudimentary. What a pity. I thought we could identify the killer directly. As for the neighborhood residents, we've already started investigating. Right, Delegate. The police have already surrounded the place with a big fuss. Even if they don't catch the killer, at least it served as intimidation. The case should calm down. Detective, any ideas? No, how about I use the pocket watch? Better not. Follow the medical advice for now. The specific search for the suspect is up to the police. I don't know why I keep saying subject, it's weird. Alrighty, I guess we just gotta get out of here now. We parked the vehicle in the parking lot next to the trail and then climbed the steps to the wooden walkway. As he stepped on the hard wood, the sea breeze mixed with the sound of the waves caressed your face. Near noon, the freshly applied varnish shone with an amber tone under the not-too-hot sun. Between the planks, there were puddles of rain, reflecting the flocks of geese passing in their migration. Wow, the air is great. This place is really good for relaxing. Hello, Dr. Violet. Violet was leaning slightly against the guardrail of the coastal trail, one hand supporting her face, her gaze lost in the endless sea. Occasionally, some early spring flower petals were lifted by the sea breeze, rustling her hair and landing on her shoulder. As the detective finally decided to follow my advice and find a quiet place to relax a bit. Doctor, I've always followed your orders. You said not to use the pocket watch, and I really haven't. Violet straightened up, brushed the fallen flowers from her clothes, and made a space for you. Want to walk a bit with me? With the greatest pleasure. Miss Violet seems a bit worried. Did Triss say the dead man in the clinic was a lighthouse keeper? Yes, Triss said the dead man's name was Howell. His job before he disappeared was related to lighthouses, and then he suddenly disappeared on his way home from work. Why, Doctor? Do you have any clues, or did you remember something? No clues, it's just that while feeling the wind, I suddenly remembered that there's a lighthouse on this coast. But it seems to be built at a higher altitude, a bit far from here. What is it? I suddenly remembered that one of the doctor's orders was to relax more and work less, not to be a workaholic like Triss. But now it's the doctor who, even on vacation, is thinking about the case. With the case unresolved, I feel I can't relax. That happened somewhere else, I could let Triss worry. But this time it happened in my clinic. And on top of that, you got hurt, detective. It makes me uneasy. No, wait, how did you become the psychologist? Your next step isn't going to be to lecture me about doctor's orders, is it? Good idea, let me think. How about the first doctor's order be get more sea breeze, worry less about work, and avoid stress? Calm down, it was just a joke. Since the doctor is curious about the lighthouse, let's go take a look. Violet pointed to the towering cliff in the distance where a tall lighthouse stood silently. Then the detective needs to be mentally prepared. This path is not so easy to walk. A sign says this beach has not been developed. Please, tourists, be careful. Do not swim, do not stay during high tide, do not play at night. In case of danger, contact the beach lifeguard. Below in small letters, it is written how to identify high tide. If you can't see this sentence, it's high tide. Footprints. Deep footprints extend from the seat of the rock wall. What even is that? I cannot tell right now. A common pile of stones. Do we need, like, an explosive or something to open the way here? Well, I'll be keeping my eye out for an item that looks like that then. The lighthouse is built on a high coastal cliff with a vertical distance to the cliff line of perhaps a dozen floors. The sea in the distance almost merges with the horizon. Seabirds glide through the sky, and the sea mist makes the beach rocks seem to appear and disappear. It seems the weather is a bit cloudy, as if it's going to rain. Hey, you guys, this isn't a tourist spot. Get down quickly. It's very steep here. Don't fall by accident. Excuse me, are you the lighthouse keeper? What keeper? I just put oil in the lighthouse. If you have something to say it quickly. I'm about to get off to work. I'd like to take a look inside the lighthouse. Enter the lighthouse. I already said this isn't a tourist spot. If everyone comes to take a look, will the lighthouse still work? Get out of here quickly. The disheveled man in front of you hesitated for a moment. Following his gaze, he saw that Violet behind you had already shown her police badge. Can this object make things easier for you, sir? Okay, my bad luck. If you want to enter, enter. Don't touch anything inside. The sign says, Small's Lighthouse, 24-hour lighthouse. Most of the piled up debris was tied ropes and empty fuel cans. There weren't many useful things. Detective, you seem to want to search every place that might have clues. Is it a professional addiction? And is there a cure for this illness of mine? Seriously, a professional addiction can be cured if you stay away from the specific work environment. Time will make you slowly abandon bad habits. Nothing, doctor. Have you ever studied anthropology? Asking a person directly about themselves usually doesn't lead to a correct answer, but the things around them don't lie. Searching the objects left behind can not only reveal the contents of the work environment, and even the life habits, but can also give a general idea about the lighthouse. I'd like to know more. For example, in this pile of junk, the tied safety ropes occupy a large part, and there are signs of recent use. The work at height in the lighthouse is still an important part. Also, the lighthouse's energy consumption is not small. Combined with the pile of empty fuel cans and the smell of diesel, the driving force needs no further explanation. Maybe every detail is insignificant, but the reality they can reveal when combined always surprises. Very interesting. Do you know Howell? Howell who? A former lighthouse keeper, but probably a long time ago. They say he disappeared one day after work. Do you have any impression or news about him? Never heard of him. I only started taking care of the lighthouse half a year ago. I don't know the previous keeper or the one before him. I'm also not interested in asking about these things. Maybe one day he drank too much and fell off the cliff. Sorry to interrupt, but I remember that lighthouse keepers are usually 3 or more. Why is it just you now? The lady knows quite a bit, but I need to correct you on one point. Lady? The system of 3 or more lighthouse keepers is for lighthouses on the high seas, and this is a coastal lighthouse. Besides, this is an automated lighthouse. It doesn't need manual adjustment. And the lighthouse's power is solar with a diesel generator. My daily job is to ensure the diesel engine has enough fuel. Also to ensure the lighthouse stays lit on rainy days. But now that you've mentioned it, I think I remember something. I heard my boss say that they hired an unemployed homeless person to be the tower's keeper. It was an automated lighthouse that only needed one person to change the fuel once a week. But he had nowhere to live, so he moved into the lighthouse. From here to a populated place is about an hour and a half walk, so they didn't mind and let him stay in the tower. But once there was a storm that lasted almost a whole week and destroyed the coastal trail. And then he disappeared. No. After the trail was repaired, they came to the lighthouse and found the person was still alive. It's just that his mind seemed a bit shaken. The people upstairs felt a little guilty, so they gave him some money and recommended a psychologist for him to rest. Did he develop a mental illness? I don't know. Anyway, the position became vacant after that. Probably the doctor wasn't very good, couldn't cure him. You searched for a long time in the lighthouse but found no valuable clues. Violet accompanied you in the search for a while and then, with an excuse, went up to the top of the lighthouse. Violet was alone, leaning against the high railing of the lighthouse, contemplating the gray mists in the distance, the seabirds, and the beam of light from the Fresnel lens that pierced to the mist. Perhaps in this distance, a ship was relying on the beam of light to navigate toward the city's port. The sea, how beautiful. A pity I won't have many more chances to see it. Violet squinted, raised her hand, and pointed to the distant horizon, as if inviting her, or maybe saying goodbye. You couldn't tell if it was an illusion, but the tide under the lighthouse began to churn, crashing hard against the rocks. You, along with Violet, stood by the outer railing. Before you, the infinite ocean. The heat from the lamp room behind and the cool sea breeze in front formed a strong contrast. What is the doctor looking at, so engrossed? Nothing, it's just that I've never been in such a high place to contemplate the sea. The experience is quite new. And you, detective, did you find any clues in the lighthouse? Don't even mention it. It's been so long, what clue could be left? I took a quick look at the lighthouse, but most of the things are bottles and cans, mostly left by the keeper to distract himself. Traces of Howell's life have already been erased. Why is the doctor so distracted? Don't you have a fear of heights? I've never seen you so talkative, detective. I suddenly remembered a classic question. What is the meaning of human existence? Suddenly turned into a philosophy class. I don't understand much about that. If you asked me to guess what you had for breakfast today, I might be able to answer. This sounds so much more interesting, so guess what I ate? You shrugged, seeming very lazy to answer the question. The answer, I think, is that you don't have time to eat. Accompanying Tress to tidy up the crime scene and cordon off the clinic, it was almost noon when we left. Eating at this time no longer counts as breakfast. But returning to the doctor's question, maybe the meaning is to feel the sea breeze, to talk, to do things we like. Maybe meaninglessness is the main melody of existence. Well, anyway, the meaning is not to work. Very interesting answer. So it was overwork that caused this. Okay, since there are no clues in the lighthouse, let's go. It's starting to rain. Looking from the edge of the lighthouse, you could see the direction of the city. The buildings and roads intertwined, but most were obscured by the hills. A pity the city is in a mountainous area. Otherwise, you vaguely remembered that your rented apartment was only a few kilometers from here. If there were no mountains and trees in the way, maybe you could see your house with a single glance. What even is burst damage? I'm not really sure. Alrighty, I don't think there's really anything else we can do here for now. I want to go back to the coastline and then save again really quickly here. Never mind, I am going to end this video here. I feel like that entrance to the next chapter is probably a good place to begin next time. Anyway, yeah, that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Until then, bye!